everybody. Welcome to Camel City Chat. I'm your host, John McPherson, and I am here with L'Tona. And L'Tona is the head coach of the Winston-Salem State University Rams ladies basketball team. Coach Lamonte is Winston-Salem's own as well, too. And so, hey, here, can I do it?
Go ahead.
So there we go. So we'll pass her the ball. Welcome to Camel City Chat, and tell us what's going on. Of course, the first question I have to ask you, and you don't have to hold that the whole time, because you know one of us is going to make this shot at some point, right? Seated. Yeah. I'm not playing you one-on-one. Okay. I'm not playing you. I don't want to lose. So what the first question I ask everybody when we have a guest on is where are you from and how long you've been here, and you have the right answer.
Yes. Well, again, L'Tona Lamonte. I am from Winston-Salem, North Carolina, and I have been back in town for 5 years.
5 years, and we're going to talk about where you have been to get here. Of course, you're going to say 2 of the 3 worst schools ever in your coaching career, and then you know, I'm sorry about that, but you know, that's as long as you don't say the pro team that I don't like in football, we're okay. What you know, you are married. You have 3 kids.
Yes.
Your oldest is how old?
My oldest is 18.
And your youngest?
She is 12.
Okay. So,
I'm
wow.
sorry, she's 12 and 2/3 because she's
12
about
and
to turn
2/3, right?
13.
And she acts like she's
about 46 years old.
okay. All right. And so now with having the kids and coaching, and I know we're going to talk about, like last night you were out until midnight. Feeding your family is an interesting thing that you guys probably have to deal with. Where's your favorite place when you guys can get away? Where do you guys like to go in town to eat?
Man, I hate to say it, but we are definitely a Chick-fil-A family. But whenever it's just me and my husband, I do like Village Tavern.
Village Tavern's nice.
I've been going to Village Tavern since I was in high school, so I do love Village Tavern.
And now high school for you was 3 years at
R.J.
Parkland
Reynolds.
And graduated from Reynolds.
Yes, so 3 years at Parkland High School, but I graduated from R.J. Reynolds.
Right, and you played ball?
I did. I played basketball and softball at both schools.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about softball too, because you have some records, I believe, that we'll talk about.
I mean, people say that.
People say that, yeah, whatever.
Books, but, you know,
whatever. So now what, you know, pre-COVID, post-COVID, as a family, as an individual, what do you like to do around Winston?
Well, pre-COVID, as a family, we love movies.
Right.
So every time a new movie would come out, we definitely were at the movie theater.
Right.
Eating the most butter you can put on popcorn. And my daughters like to skate, so we would also do skating nights, especially in Kernersville is where I live. Okay. And so, you know, they used to have like...
Great rink over there.
Yes.
Yep.
They would have teen nights, so our girls would go on Fridays.
Okay. Did you ever do the ice skating?
No.
All right, so I just did that this year with my daughter.
How was it?
It was pretty interesting. A friend of mine, Mark Groman, who owns Meridian Restaurant,
yes.
He told us about it, and so we went one time, and I'd had shoulder surgery. It was a pro football injury. I can tell you about that later. All right. It was a pro football injury, folks. We went skating. I didn't skate. My wife did. My wife is the athlete of the family. All right. I just look good in the airport. And I'm sorry I did not wear my jumpsuit.
I mean, I'm very disappointed.
I will come back and see you. We'll go to lunch, and I will wear the jumpsuit.
I'm so disappointed.
I looked at it. I looked at it. I have a Winston-Salem State running suit from when I got my master's here in 2014.
So you are a proud Ram.
No question about it. SU, you know. Yes. So we got to talk about this. So you start out, you're at Parkland High School, you transfer to Reynolds, you graduate from Reynolds, you're playing softball and basketball. Where do you go from there?
So once I graduated from Reynolds, I actually came to Winston-Salem State.
Right.
So I am an alum. So in 1995, my mom enrolled me into Winston-Salem State. When I get here, I actually played the drums. And so some of the people in the band knew that, and they asked me to be on the drum line. And so I started out being a drummer. The women's basketball
in
coach,
the Red Sea of Sound?
Well, at the time, they were not called the Red Sea of Sound.
Let me have
but,
that.
We were called the best band in the CIAA.
Okay.
And Mr. Jones was actually our band director. And the women's basketball coach had walked by the dorm room bringing in some of her players, and she saw me and was like, hold up, you're here? So I was able to be on the women's basketball team. And ironically, the softball coach sees me running flag football for my dorm. And he was like, there's no way you've never played softball because of the moves I was making. Mm-hmm. So it just happened by chance that I come to Winston. I play the drums. I'm in basketball and softball while I'm here. So I was a full-rounded student and a part of all organizations and trying to be in campus leadership.
Graduated in 99.
Yes.
So the history books. What is your softball record that, like they say, may never be beaten?
Well, I mean,
or broken?
It can be broken. They told me I was in 5 categories.
Right.
I don't know all of the categories, but I was mainly stealing bases.
Right.
So my junior year, I led the nation in stolen bases.
That's what I thought you were going to say, yeah?
And then my senior year, I was leading the nation in stolen bases. The very last game of the year, my coach told me to stay put, and I thought I could steal home. Me stealing home and getting out dropped me to second. So I would have led it stolen bases 2 years in a row if I would have listened to my coach, but I was hard-headed.
So do you tell that story to your athletes now? Hey, so listen, here's the deal.
Trust me.
I would have been. So what was it, Billy Ray's Hayes from Major League or whatever, the American Express card, don't steal home without it? You didn't have your American Express card on you, did you?
I did not.
Right. So,
man, what was I thinking?
So Winston-Salem State, graduate obviously, multi-letters, all the above, and then, you know, it's like in real estate when they say to us, you know, you ought to be a broker in charge. You know, you're a good salesperson, you ought to be in charge of something. And I'm like, you take the pencil and stick it in and out, you know, you realize if it's still fun. So why coaching?
So coaching happened by accident. Ironically, my junior year, I was a sport management major here at Winston-Salem State under Dr. Felder and Coach Conley. We had to do a practicum.
Right.
My practicum led me to Carver High School.
Okay.
And Coach Poe was the one I was supposed to shadow. He was the athletic director. But when I got there, he was like, no, girl, I'm not going to put you there. And you got to forgive me because I mimic everyone.
No, it's fine.
And so Coach Poe was like, no, you're going to help out our girls basketball team. And I said, no, sir, I'm here to be an athletic director.
Right.
So for about 3 months, I actually ended up helping out the women's basketball team and enjoyed it. The following year, I didn't have a practicum, but I still went over there to help out.
Right.
And then I ended up getting an internship at the University of Tennessee my senior year, which was in 1998, the fall. They had just came off of winning 3 national championships. Ironically, I go there to shadow Joan Cronin, who's the athletic director, and at the time, she was one of the best women athletic directors in the country. Tennessee was one of 3 schools that still had a women's and a men's program. A lot of people don't know that. It used to be a women's athletic department and a men's. So I went to go shadow the women's athletic director. And when I got there, she was like, well, you know, I love your persistence. That's the only reason I brought you. We created a position for you.
Right.
And I never shadowed her. Instead, I'm working in the main office. Pat Summit's in the office. The business director, Daryl Worrell, is who I worked under.
Right.
But whenever Pat needed anything, you know, I was always at her beckoning call.
She's done a little bit of coaching, right?
I mean, just a tad bit, you know.
And of course, now the one thing that we share in common about UT is the body farm.
Hey, yes.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, so we talked about that because I know your daughter is starting to look
That's
at schools and stuff and is interested in forensics.
She is. Forensic science, biology.
Yeah, that was a phone call like 2 weeks ago. We're talking about this, and I'm telling her about, you know, I had looked at that, and I'm not smart enough for that. So obviously she is.
I'm not either.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. But now, so UT, so obviously the ball's now starting to roll. Where next?
I still didn't want to coach.
Right.
You know, even though I was there, ironically not knowing who Pat Summitt was and getting a crash course, and she's one of the greatest coaches ever. I go to Georgia Southern in order to start my master's.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. When you said that, I had to get up and leave.
You know what? I'm just going to look at the camera.
No, yeah.
So I go to Georgia
One of 3
Southern.
schools you can't talk about on my show now.
Let me tell you, let's go Eagles. Gator for all the people who understand what that means down at Georgia Southern land. But I go to Georgia Southern for another.
You don't have to say it again. We know you're down in Statesboro, so just go ahead and talk about the stink.
So
go ahead.
Georgia Southern football team wins 2 national championships while I'm there. Funny story. While I'm there, Georgia Southern plays at App State. App State had the audacity to try to turn our buses over because they lost the football game. There's nothing like those Mountaineers, I tell you.
It was a misunderstanding, I'm sure. I'm sure that they were trying to help somebody get something out from underneath the bus.
You're right, by rocking it.
So you're at that place,
yes.
right?
So I go down to Georgia Southern for my master's, and ironically, I I was going in as a grad assistant.
Right.
But the women's basketball coach lost their third assistant. At the time, it was called restricted earnings. And so they knew I was at Tennessee and had did some work in coaching. So they asked me, would I apply for the job?
Can you help out? Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, well, you know, I have this graduate assistantship, and they're like, we'll pay you. And I was like, all right, cool. So I ended up becoming the third assistant by accident. And next thing I know, I fell in love with coaching.
And I want to know about that because it's always interesting to me as, you know, not of the temple in a sense, where it's profane, I guess, not of the temple. Why there's so many people and who's doing what and stuff. So we'll talk about that in a minute. So after that place, where did you go?
So after Georgia Southern, I actually met my husband down there.
Okay.
He was coaching.
So
at a
one
local
good
high
thing's
school.
happened in that town.
Well, you know, a couple. We actually won the championship that year too. Well, my second year at Georgia Southern, we won the championship. So I meet my husband. We're wanting to start a family, and I didn't know how coaching and having a family could go hand in hand. I hate to say this, you know, at the time it was male coaches that had families. A lot of the women coaches had actually stepped out of the game. Pat Summitt was an exception. You know, so me and my husband decided to go into teaching, come back, work at Lexington Senior High School. And next thing I know, Kelly Harper gets the job at Western Carolina. And because of the Tennessee connection, it worked out. And I go to Western Carolina, and then after that, I stay in college coaching. Again, Western Carolina is a rival of App
Why do
State.
you keep saying the name of the school?
So I'm with the Catamounts.
You're at the
now,
Catamounts, yep.
For 5 years, and I found out we went to 4 postseason tournaments. I didn't know this until recently. Someone was telling me about my bio, and then they went through the history of it, and I was like, oh, I didn't realize that. Isn't that terrible?
Yeah, no, I read your bio too, and that's why when I was telling you, I said, you're going to name 2 of the 3. There's only one more left to name. We ain't talking about it. But no, it's just amazing how, you know, God has a plan.
He does.
And you know, meet the husband, you know, stay in, figure out how to make it work so you got your family, you're still coaching. What happens after Western Carolina?
So after Western Carolina, again, 4 postseasons in 5 years, Kelly ends up getting the head job at NC State. She takes all of us with her. So the whole entire coaching staff moves over, and NC State starts. I'm the director of ops. I actually went out recruiting when I first got there, and my husband was like, we're not doing this ever again. So then I'm the director of ops, so I get to stay home a little bit more.
Right.
I'm still traveling like crazy. After NC State, go to Belmont in Nashville, Tennessee. I'm so proud of them because I'm telling you, when we got there, we kept saying we want to brew something special. We're brewing something special. Cam Newbauer, who's now at Florida, was the head coach there.
Right.
And so, you know, being with him, he's a mastermind offensively. Wanted to get back closer to home because my kids have never grown up around my mom. Because all we had was Tyler when we went to Western Carolina, and then when we left Western Carolina, we had 3.
Right.
So that tells you how much fun we had up in the mountains with winning championships. But from Belmont, we come back to North Carolina Central,
right?
Because we still had our house in Raleigh,
right?
And then I feel like it was 6 months later, I get the opportunity to come here to my alma mater to be the head
How
coach.
cool is it to coach at Winston-Salem State?
Oh man, it's amazing. Like the atmosphere here, just the fans, the alums, it's just so passionate. Like I want to win so bad because this is where I grew up here. I went to school here. They took a chance on me with as bad as my grades and SAT scores was. So like the love I have for Winston is unmatched.
So now does Dr. Magruder walk by and ask you if you want to come play drums now since he sees you in here?
No, not at all. He was one of the first people. So like I had a plan for my first 100 days, and he was one of the people that I did go to meet and introduce myself to.
The man.
Yeah,
he's awesome.
He is. Yeah. He is. He's just as cool as the other side of the pillow. And I'm thankful for the work he's doing here at our institution. You know, it's so funny looking back over everything, how it started when I was here, and then coming back and seeing how the band has grown and they're flourishing. And even the athletic department, we're trying to go in a different direction. So I'm excited.
Some good people.
It's some great people.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, you know, when I got involved in Appalachian, it was probably where Winston-Salem State is here.
Gosh.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Oh,
it's probably where Winston-Salem State is now. Yeah. And so, I mean, you know, you can make a very simple donation to Winston-Salem State and be treated like a king for your donation. I mean, you know, the 1,000 Horns,
Yep.
You know, you give $1,000 to Tennessee and they just look at you and go, thank you.
Yeah.
and you're lucky to get the thank you.
Barely,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. But I mean, here you're treated, so wonderfully.
Yeah.
They, just everyone that I've met here in athletics has just been spectacular.
Oh, yeah.
But I want to get back to, the whole one of the, besides the fact that I love the school and you were introduced to me by a mutual friend of ours.
Yeah.
Did you enjoy Leadership Winston-Salem?
I did. You know what's funny? Catherine Perry is awesome. We call her Mother Hen.
Mother Hen, right?
And ironically, when someone approached me about Leadership Winston, I didn't really understand much about the organization. But the one thing that it's done is it let me know that I am a leader.
Mm-hmm.
I've always wanted to affect change in the community and wanted to do as much as I can because so many people helped me out with the way I grew up. And that organization showed me that everything I was doing was accurate. But now it's put me in place with some people that are amazing in this city that can help us to see the dreams that we have set forth. So I'm excited.
It is crazy. You and I were talking on the phone, and I'm like, hey, could you, I'm sorry, can you hold on 1 second? Sheriff Kimbrough, I've been trying to get up. So yesterday I was talking to a buddy of mine. He goes, Sheriff wants to know when you're going to be on the show. And I'm like, I've emailed him. He said, well, email him again. He's ready. So, you just meet all these cool people. I mean, you think about it now, you're walking down the sidewalk in downtown Winston, and the police chief that you didn't know before, you now have interacted with them. You know who Dudley Watts is. I mean, all these different people. It's such a great program. And I get to meet you through our interaction with Catherine. I want to take a quick break. I'm going to show your website. Then when we come back, I want to start to talk to you about what I had originally asked you, and that's how to be a role model for my daughter. I mean, I'm a girl dad, so we'll talk about that. We'll be right back.
Girl dad.
Girl dad. Okay, we'll be right back. Okay. Welcome back to Camel City Chat. I'm here with the coach, and we've been talking about just all kinds of things, how she got to be here at Winston-Salem State. And one of the big questions I always wanted to ask you as we talked is, I'm a girl dad, so how do I instill confidence in my daughter?
All right, so I'm going to...
You want the ball or anything?
No,
you good?
not at
Okay.
all. It's so ironic when I think of girl dads because a lot of fathers don't understand that they are the ones that instill confidence in their daughters just by being there, by listening, by loving, by giving them that hug to know that they can become anything they want to become. Ironically, my real father was not in my life growing up, but my grandfather and my uncles were. And they made me feel that I could do anything in the world. And because of that, I have no fear. And most of the players that I interact with, when their fathers are around, I can tell because they're fearless. So the greatest thing you can give is your love and appreciation. When you make them feel like they're the best thing in the world, and although they may have lost this game, but you haven't lost the fight, they're still fighting you, that's what's going to make them special. Like, I love how my husband interacts with our daughters. Sometimes they're overconfident, and so as a mom, I'm trying to cut them back down. And
I'm seeing that a little bit now.
Oh my gosh, reality checks as a mother is unreal. But from a father, that father's love it's unmatched. It really is.
I tell her that if anyone asks you what can you be or what can you do, she goes, I can do anything. She has to answer that. I don't know where this came from, and please, if you are at my daughter's school, don't ask her this. But at one point, she just said, "Be smart, be brave, and don't be a jackass." And I'm like, "Pardon me?" And her mom's like falling out on the floor laughing. And so we got it on video. She's like 5 years old and goes, "Be smart, be brave, and don't be a jackass." And it's like, that's some like smartness there. I mean, but it's true.
Yeah,
We've gone to a couple of games at App, and I specifically have gone to ladies sports with her. I have to admit, I didn't go to ladies sports when I was in school. I mean, I'm learning.
Oh yeah.
Just so competitive, so much into it, and she's enjoying it. We were there when App won the tournament that they were in, so it wasn't the NCAA, it wasn't the NIT, it was the next level.
Oh, okay.
And they won that championship.
Oh, it was college. Oh, I remember.
It was 2 years ago, maybe.
Created that
yeah,
one. Yes.
right, yeah.
I want to say
So
it's like a CICB or something like that.
sounds good. Yeah, I don't know. I got a picture of the whole. I did a pano, so yeah. But it is it's something she and I can do together. Her mom's not a spectator, so we do that, enjoy it. But I just wondered if you had any tips because I mean, coaching is parenting in a sense too, isn't it?
It is. It's definitely parenting. It's also being a big sister, big brother, being a listening ear. And I think that's what we as parents sometimes we forget. I used to make my mom laugh so much because I used to say, I will never tell my child just because I said so. I will explain to them. Well, I'm all explained out right now at this moment. But I think sometimes as parents, we have to make their minds wander.
Yeah.
And so it's the same with girls. When you have your father out in the driveway shooting hoops or he's playing soccer with you or throwing a frisbee. Like my husband was amazing. Like I was always on the road recruiting. I was always doing something. And then when I would come home, they'd be at the park. Him and the girls just playing around or they're jumping all over him. Now they can't jump on him now because they're like his size, his height. But, that's the one thing that the girls will always remember is my dad was there. And so girls will tug at your heart. It's hard for dads to say no. I don't know why, but it's so tough. But you taking her and exposing her to sports right now is amazing.
She just started doing soccer, and I'm helping
great.
coach. Yeah,
and they're good, are they not?
Yeah, she does fine. Yeah.
And that's the thing I tell guys all the time. Like, if you love sports, then you'll love women's sports. We're just as competitive. The only thing is with basketball, we may not can dunk, but the older men, they all sit at the very top. And I love them. They're at our games early. They love our sport because, one, we're playing fundamentally. We're going to do a lot of cuts, a lot of back doors. We're going to set a lot of screens. And people get into that. It's not always how flashy we are going one-on-one. And, as a parent, you're going to learn that sport because I want my daughter to play. So then you're going to coach. She's going to be able to get the greatest experience of you being there on the field and you being there at home. Now, y'all may bump heads, but that's the best thing you can do for being a girl dad.
So what's better, the dunk or the ankles? I mean, breaking ankles, there's some good ones that, and like you said, fundamentals.
Right.
No, I will tell you, I kind of got inherited coaching because they didn't have anybody for my daughter's team. And so fortunately there's another guy that does it and I help him out now. But the first week or two we didn't. And, they scrimmaged the boys. There's another boys team that plays on this half while we're playing on this half. And so last week I'm like, hey, let's play. And they're like, you're kidding? I'm like, no, let's go. Right. And so the coach comes over to me last night and he goes, we in trouble. I said, what's the matter? He goes, your girls are starting to go, no, act like you throwing that way and then throw to me over here. They're scheming already on my team. Yes. And I'm like, okay, good. I like that. Yeah. Yes. So, but we just have fun with it, and, Laura's doing a good job. We've got a couple players that are amazing, and then we've got the middle of the road and some, fair ones are daisy pickers, but every one of them is essential to our team, and we're doing we're getting them there.
And that's the key. That's what team sports is. It's all about teamwork. Everyone can't be the star. You have to have every level and everyone doing the best at their position. We talk about that a lot in college, that it's not about who's the best on our team. It's all about everyone doing their role and being effective with it. So you're teaching them at a young age, okay, Sally, you may not be the star, or, Susie may be the one that gets more kicks than you, but your role is just as effective because you're playing defense. She's the striker, but maybe you're the goalie.
Right.
So,
or stand in front of the ball coming at you so that it slows the person down so the rest of the team can help. That's what my daughter's great at. She just gets in front of the person and then kicks a little bit here or there, kicks it out, and then stops them. And then, yeah, she knows the role. Yeah. So, we got this young lady that's standing over here. And where do we want to be at? We're down at a high school in Fayetteville, North Carolina. How do you know? How do you get there? How do you get them here? Talk to me about the whole process. And is it a year-round process? Do you just, I don't know anything now when it comes to basketball. So right now, you don't have any more games. It ended in March Madness and all that stuff. And so last night you were at an event to try and find some people. So tell us what's going on.
So it depends. When I first came to Winston as a Division I coach, you always want to bring in high school kids because you have time to develop them. in the Division II level, I've learned bumps and bruises that not only do you want to have high school kids, you want to intertwine some Division I kids that are transfers and also some JUCOs,
Right.
because they have college experience.
Right.
So last night I was in Hickory because they have college experience. So I was at a JUCO event there. From 9 a.m. is when it started, and it ended around 11:15 last night. But you sit in the gym and you're watching and you're analyzing. Now, when it's a high school kid, the one thing I've learned is you need to have at least a year of getting to know them on a Division II level. At the Division I level, we made sure that we knew kids for at least 2-3 years. We wanted to know everything about them. So this freshman class we have here, we recruited them for over a year.
Okay.
Love them, I really do. So if it was a young lady in Fayetteville, depending on if she's a junior, then now we have her written on our sheets and we are following her, we're getting to know her and her family. A lot of people don't know, but the family plays a big difference too. I've been in some games where I've seen some parents and I'm like, okay, I'm marking her off the list because we cannot have that type of interaction at our gym.
So I can't throw the chair, huh?
Hey, no, we're not going to accept that. No,
Right.
sir. And if a young lady is watching her parents in the stand more so than listening to what her coach is wanting to do, then you're not coachable.
Right.
So that year-long process, it just helps us to weed out what fits and what doesn't.
I mean, that's amazing. You would never think that, but absolutely after you mention it, it's like, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, you don't want, I mean, and not to, well, I mean, I think most people agree that he's way too involved, Mr. Ball. You probably don't want one of the Ball kids here, no matter how good they are,
Right.
because of the fact that there's a whole process there.
It is.
So JUCO is junior college, I'm
Yes,
assuming?
junior college,
All right, so
I'm
if I
sorry.
play, no, it's fine. I'm just making sure. So if I play at junior college, play 2 years there, then you get me for year 3 and 4.
That's correct.
So now this year, this is your first, really, you've got what, one more year before it's your full whole team that you recruited?
Well, you know what? This season would have been my full whole team that
Right.
I recruited.
Right.
So I was so excited about this season, but it was cut short because of COVID. So next year will be the first full team that I've ever recruited.
Right. And so just recently in the news, I noticed we shut down spring sports. Did we just have, it was just getting to be too rampant because we haven't got the kids vaccinated yet?
Well, I think it's a mixture. You can have contact tracing, which can also shut down
Right.
their program. And then you can also have COVID issues or COVID-related issues. But then you have other teams that you play against that may have went back home and said, oh, we have a positive case, and then you have to shut down for that. So it's just a lot of different, issues that you have to deal with. I am proud of all of the teams that were able to see it through this year. It was a tough year. Just to be honest with you, we had over 11 girls on my team alone, that went through COVID. And so just trying to figure out how you can play, when you play, okay?
So you had 11 get it?
I did.
Really? How many
Yeah.
kids do you have on your team?
16.
16 kids, okay.
16.
And 11 got it.
Mhm.
Wow.
Yeah. And so, trying to figure out, okay, if we have to cancel this week's games, then how will we put them on the back end? And how can we still make it for the tournament? It was just a lot that I don't think we were all prepared for. I think our conference did the greatest thing by going ahead and shutting it down. At first I was going back and forth because the young ladies really did need an outlet. So this spring semester's been awesome. We've been able to do some postseason work, get them in the gym, get them running. A lot of them have gained that COVID-19 is what I call it. I have as well. So just trying to get
I wish I got the
the
19. I wish I got the 19. I was 195 in September, no, in November of 2019.
200?
240.
Really?
Yes.
You really don't look it.
Thank you. But yes, I am.
You truly
I
don't
got to
look
get it off again. It's just, but it's so, I mean, you just sit there, you eat and you work and you eat and you work.
Yeah.
Yeah. What I will tell you though, but thank you for the compliment. But I cannot imagine it because we've got 11 kids on our soccer team, and I'm carrying it around on the field, checking off to make sure everybody's been into play. And you're dealing with 16 ladies. One's over here because they can't play. You probably got academics over here. You got this over here. You got, somebody's had like a marriage or a birth or a death, and they're out of town. I mean, it's got to be like, building like a Lego 1,000-piece set here. How do you manage that?
Well, I think you have to have the interaction first.
Right.
And so, like, the players trust us as a staff.
That's the question.
Yes.
What is the staff?
Yeah.
Because when I go to a game, there's like you're usually right around in here, and then you're usually right around in there, and then all of a sudden like there's like 12 people that jump up when you call a timeout. Who are all those people?
So there's a difference between Division I, Division II, and BCS.
Okay.
So for Division II, because I've been on all 3 levels, so for Division II, we're fortunate enough to have 3 assistants.
Okay.
All are not full-time, but we do have 3 assistants.
Okay.
And that's it. And then we have managers, of course. Normally we have about 2 managers. We'll have an athletic trainer. We actually have team doctors from Wake Forest that actually come and they sit behind our bench. Now on the Division I regular level, it's the same, except you may have a director of operations and sometimes a GA or a grad assistant.
Okay.
But then on the BCS level, it's a little different. You're going to have a video coordinator along with maybe 2 graduate assistants. You're going to probably have an assistant to your director of ops. You'll probably have a personal assistant to your head coach. And normally that's someone who's been coaching for years, that understands the game, that can give knowledge to your head coach. On top of, they have other new nuances that they've created for BCS schools, so they can have a little bit more on staff.
Right.
Now football, they have so many different people. They have like a coordinator, an assistant coordinator to the coordinator,
Director of football operations.
Director of football operations, the director of the help of the
equipment
football operations. You have equipment managers.
Strength and conditioning.
coaches.
Yeah.
Yes.
So all right. So you have so you're head coach, and then you have 3 assistants.
Yes.
Okay. And where did you find your assistants?
Well, so one of them was actually the graduate assistant when I was at North Carolina Central.
Okay.
Dexter Jenkins. Shari Boyd, ironically, I recruited her when I was at Western. And so her father, when that position came open, he was like, Coach, have you looked at Shar? Because evidently she was actually recruiting at a junior college.
Okay.
At a school where I was actually recruiting one of the players. So it just worked out perfectly. The 3rd assistant is Linwood Skinner, and ironically, we grew up together. He graduated from R.J. Reynolds as well, so he was a really, really good point guard for Coach West.
Right.
So he's on staff.
Right. And I recognize Skinner. I do recognize that. So, and then you've got. So when you travel, is it about 25 of you?
Oh gosh, no, we can't afford that on this level. We try to travel around 20.
Okay.
So we'll take around 4 coaches. We'll normally take 15 players, and then we'll add in our athletic trainer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then the other team has the doctor there.
Right.
Right. So then now, So obviously we're playing all CIAA schools, and then some others peppered in. But I mean, we're wanting to win all those games.
Yeah.
So what's our furthest team that we're traveling to go play?
So. Normally
Georgia.
in conference, it would be Pennsylvania because we play Lincoln.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then we go to Georgia State. Do we play?
No, we don't play Georgia State.
Okay.
The furthest south we'll go is in South Carolina. We normally play Claflin in conference.
Okay. All right.
But we've been to Georgia because we've played some schools down there that's non-conference.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And then do you play like I think we played Wake before or stuff like that for different games?
Wake.
They scared of us?
I'm not going to say scared. I have asked for a game, but from what I was told, they don't play Division II schools.
Well, it's just like A&T won't play us in football because they're afraid of us.
Well, you know what? They actually have a schedule.
I know.
So we're going to play A&T soon, and I'm proud of Terrell. He's done a great job at A&T, and he actually played us a couple of years ago. We lost that game by either 3 or 6, I can't remember, but it was a really good game. Do I want to play him again? Yes, would love to. I would love to get that rival because that was our rival when I played here. Mm-hmm. We always look forward to A&T. I mean, it's like 20 minutes down the road. The Battle of I-16. And then Central was a rival. I just feel like our rivals aren't there anymore.
Right.
I don't consider Johnson C. Smith a rival, and I definitely don't consider Fayetteville State, but I know those are the ones that everyone's pushing to be a rival.
Well, I mean, it's just like we were talking earlier. I mean, Appalachian and Western aren't really rivals anymore because we both changed and gone different ways and stuff like that. So let's take a break, and then we need to talk a little bit about Winston-Salem and what you love about it and why we're here and all that kind of stuff. We're going to be right back with more Camel City Chat. Welcome back to Camel City Chat, and I'm here with Coach, and I get a unique thing. She's gonna help me with my jumper here after this is over with. So, Coach, I got to ask you. there are very few people that get to do what you got to do. You played here, you starred here, you got records here. Now you're coaching here.
I don't want to say start. That may be an overstatement. I just played here.
You starred here, and then you're coaching here. Okay, you're starring here now. So you got any Twitter contacts you want to tell us about?
Oh,
You you hanging with anybody like? So you and Earl the Pearl are tight now?
Well, you know what? I actually met Earl the Pearl during their 30th anniversary.
Right.
We actually had a celebration for them when I was in college.
Okay.
And I was able to tour them around because I was like a campus ambassador.
Right.
Fast forward 20 years later, we're celebrating their 50th anniversary. And the majority of the guys that are still alive, I still have the poster with all of them signed.
Right.
And he was like, wow, you really did meet me. And so since then, he actually comes to our games when we play up in Lincoln in Pennsylvania.
Right.
And so it's amazing, how many people can say you have a Hall of Famer?
Right.
Someone that's in the Naismith, that's in all 50-decade team for the NBA, and he comes to your games and just cheers you on. So
right.
He's an amazing man. He just got on Twitter last week, and I thought it was the funniest thing. So I did hit him up about being on Twitter, and it's actually him, if you can believe it. Mm-hmm. So I'm not going to say we're best friends, but I think it's a joy to know that we have someone like that here that's still alive and can receive all of the flowers that he deserves.
See, and I think it's wonderful because we have some people right now that are really pushing our university. Chris Paul.
Yeah.
And
his parents went here as well.
Yeah, and see, I've met his dad. Okay. I did one of the dumbest things I've ever done in my entire life. We buy a house. I'm sitting there, we're moving in, and I see these two guys, teenage kids riding bikes, and they start to go up this hill in front of my house. And there's another guy trailing behind them on a bike, and I yell out, "Come on, guys, get some legs into it. What's wrong with you?" And they look back at me like, "Who the heck are you?" And then all of a sudden, the father drives up and says, "You just moving here?" I'm like, "Yeah." I said, "I lived up the street." He goes, "I'm Charles Paul." I'm like, he goes, "What's the matter?" I said, "Don't tell me I just told the NBA Rookie of the Year that he needs to get his legs up." And he laughed at me and smiled. But I lived at the 1015 block. I lived at 1015, and they lived at the 700 block of Louisville Clemens Road. And then his parents now live in a different neighborhood. And of course, Chris, who knows where he's living. He was renting a house one place and had a house another place. But I've never met him. But I love what he does for Louisville. And I love what he does for kids, and really love what he's starting to do for Winston-Salem State. Oh, yeah. Then I was lucky enough to be one of the 3 hosts about, probably 5, 6, maybe 7 years ago, probably 6 years ago, that they hosted downtown when Stephen A. came into town and made his original announcement of giving the $50,000. So we've got him doing stuff, and then we got Chris doing stuff, and then of course we've got that. So. It's great when your alumni come back and support the school because it makes it cool for other people.
It does.
Like you coming back and supporting the school.
Oh man, and this is the thing. If you look up all the banners, there's one team that has not won a championship, and it's women's basketball. And so that was one challenge that it drove me. And I think my first 4 years here, I was so passionate about winning and winning now that I lost sight on the importance of Winston. I had to realize that, one, I needed to be here for my players and make sure that they're all excelling in everything that they plan to do. I think I had to go back through and reevaluate, why am I doing this? And by doing that, we ended up making it to the semifinals last year. And then who knows what could have happened this year, but I see the plan of what Winston did for me. And that's why I'm so elated with Chris Paul, with Stephen A. Smith, with Earl the Pearl. It's been so many people that's made a difference. And I don't know if they realize, but now you're putting our school on the map. So now you have more students that are wanting to enroll in Winston, that are applying. And this is a special place. Like, Winston will always have my heart, whether I'm here or not. This school helped to create in me who I am now. Growing up in Winston-Salem, I grew up in Happy Hill, on the backside of Happy Hill Gardens in Piedmont Circle. Mm-hmm. And I love when people will come up to me and say what you're not supposed to be or what you can't be. And I tell kids all the time, that tells you what you can be. Don't ever make an excuse about who you are and what you don't have. look at what you can become, because you can be anything. And I'm a witness, and I'm a proud product of Winston, and I'm a proud product of this institution.
And that's what was going to be my next question is you you could be anywhere on the globe in a sense, and you've chosen here. What is it that you think that you love so much about Winston-Salem?
Man, just being able to help people.
Yeah.
Being able to go back into the community and do things. Someone did that for me. They were around. I had a guy take me to camp for the first time. His name is Bill McLean. He took us up to the mountains. We went up to Haynes Hosiery. Well,
right.
It's Haynes.
Camp Haynes.
Camp Haynes.
Yeah.
Ironically, now I run a camp up there. So every summer I'll go up there and do a free camp because, someone did that for me.
Right.
So being able to affect the community has been like the greatest thing for me here. Yeah. So I'm enjoying it.
You just don't know where you are. I mean, a buddy of mine used to mow the grass at Johnson C. Smith, and then now, he was coaching in the NFL. I mean, it's that was his dream.
Right.
And I just think it's wonderful that you haven't forgotten home.
No.
And you love home.
I do, but let me tell you, at first I never wanted to come back home.
Of course not. No one does. Now tell me this now. So you've come back home. So 90s, it was already starting to turn better downtown and stuff like that. What do you think of downtown now? Is it not the weirdest thing in the world?
I got to tell you this story. So my senior year, and I'm going to look at the camera on this because I'm still upset about this.
Yeah.
My senior year in college, in one of my business classes.
1999.
Yes, 1999. I had just came back from Tennessee. I had written a concept. It was actually a business plan to start this thing called, I think it was like 420 Uptown. It was really in the middle of downtown because there was nothing there. All the shops, everybody had moved out.
No, it was Beethoven's was
Yes.
probably downtown then or something like that.
I think it was 420 Uptown.
Right.
I got to find my project. And we had to present it to some of the bankers in the city. And I told them, hey, if you look at Houston, if you look at California, some dynamics of a lot of bigger cities are trending toward moving back downtown. So my project was to start a business downtown that would draw some of the younger people to stay in the area. Do you know that my professor gave me a D on that project? And all of the bankers was like, that will never happen. Everyone has moved to the suburbs, and they criticized me. Fast forward 20 years later, everything is now downtown.
You need to call them and ask if they need some advice.
Oh, I want my money because I should have won that project. But I saw the trend happening. Winston is a thriving city. At the time they had just built, we called it the deodorant bottle, which is Wachovia.
That's a nice way to say what it is.
Yeah. And so, you have Wachovia, you have a lot of young people that want to stay in this area, but there was nothing for them to stay and do. Like, imagine if they would have went ahead and started doing or did a plan and say, okay, let's build this city. We probably would have kept Wachovia. We would have definitely kept BB&T, and we could have had a lot more thriving, and our community would be a lot different. But now technology has taken over, and we have to be forward thinking on, okay, so what makes us great? Because at the time, my mom worked at Haynes Hosiery for a long time and was laid off several times because of, the industry. RJ Reynolds is no longer as powerful as it used to be. So we have to be forward thinking on how can we make this community better. Mm-hmm. But it's going to take technology. Banking is always going to be there. But how can we bring that back and enhance our downtown atmosphere? So I'm excited for the way downtown is moving. And I'm always thinking forward and progressive. Sometimes I think people are like, oh, never happened. But you have to be that way.
Where do you want to see us go? Where do you want to see Winston go?
So I don't want us to become Charlotte, because I think we are great who we are. But I do think that Winston is going to have to invest a little bit more in technology. We're going to have to look at ways to enhance the youth to stay in this area. It's going to be a lot that leave, but the thing is, coming back, raising a family is amazing. Like, I love it here.
Right.
And my kids are enjoying being with their grandparents, but we have to figure out a way to keep the young talent in this area. Like I was telling someone before, I wish Winston had a pharmacy program. That would be a great look for us.
Right.
Wake Forest is starting an engineering school pretty
right.
soon. That's going to be a great look for us. Now we can go ahead and build upon that. We still have all of those old RJ Reynolds buildings. You know, they've made them into condos, but why not make them into some type of engineering facility?
Right.
You know, let's start thinking forward and progressive. So,
Excellent answer.
thank you.
Now the one that you don't want to, now the one that I told you about, you were like, oh gosh. Coach Lamont, what do you want to be remembered for?
Oh man. So it has definitely changed. At first I wanted to be remembered as the greatest women's basketball coach that's come through Winston. But now I just want to be remembered for making a difference in so many lives. I want to make sure that every place I touch, you know, that people have kind words to say or that I put a smile on someone's face. But I definitely want to be remembered for I did the best I could with what I had, and I wasn't going to complain about it. You know, that's great for me. You know, I want to leave a legacy here at Winston. You know, I want to see banners all over the place, but you know, if it doesn't happen, then that means that my footprint was felt.
Right.
You know, that's what's important to me.
You know, you mentioned Happy Hills earlier.
Yeah. Mr. Ben Piggott.
It's a common thread in your life because I can always see you're happy. And the kids that you work with now, it's amazing. You have 15 to 20 kids that you can impact the community in an afternoon with. And you impact them every day. So all I can say is thank you. I appreciate you being on the show. If you want to get more information, Coach Lamont, or reach out to her, we put the page up for the school. If you want to support Winston-Salem State, she will be glad to tell you how you can earmark women's basketball. Please don't get in trouble for that, for me saying that, but earmark women's basketball. And then you're gonna teach me how to do my jumper?
Yes, well, I'm going to teach him the beef technique, which is balance, elbow, eyes, and follow through.
Well, let's take a quick break and then you show me, okay?
All right.
Cool. Thanks. I appreciate you being on today.
Oh, no, thank you. I truly appreciate this, and I still shoot hands. So.
Thank you,
Sorry,
Coach.
I missed you. I missed you. Your hands are longer than I expected.
All right, let's go.
All right, hold on. Square up. So let's have your shoulders where they're at the rim. So let's bring this leg back over.
Right here?
There you go. Hold on.
That is so uncomfortable.
I know it is, but bend your knees right quick for balance. Bend a little bit further. All right.
That is so
Now
uncomfortable,
look
Coach.
at your elbow. I always tell the girls you want your elbow in.
How can I shoot like that? What do you want me to do?
Right-handed or left-handed?
I'm right-handed.
Okay.
All right.
So then let's change it. This is your shot. So before even shooting, there you go.
All right.
And then when you follow through, you're saying hello to the rim.
All right.
All right. Hello to the rim.
It's my shirt.
No,
Yeah, I got to unbutton his shirt.
Oh, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's
That's awesome.
all I played was right there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.